Hi, I'm Susan Hersh from Meet the Experts. Last year, the New York City Marathon had 43,741 participants, and the marathon ends right here in Central Park. Today, I am with Jackie Lorenz, who is training for the More Magazine half marathon coming up this April. Hey, Jackie.
Hi, Susan.
So how many miles did you run this morning?
8 miles.
8 miles. You are brave. It is so frigid here today in New York.
It was a little cold.
How many weeks are you at?
I'm at week 8.
And the marathon is coming up at the end of April, so it's almost like you're training for a full marathon.
Yep, the training schedule that I'm following, it's about a 15-week schedule, and it really helps eliminate injuries.
And we know to eliminate injuries, a stretching program is vital. So let's have you show us some stretching and come with me, and we're going to learn some wonderful tips from Jackie to avoid injury. Long-distance running is one of the greatest human challenges that one can undertake. Why did you start running in marathons?
Well, initially I didn't intend to do a marathon. I decided that I wanted to get in shape, and my husband was running, and I would go out and cheer him on. And it got a little boring just watching and being on the sidelines, so I decided to join in and try running.
So get him with the action.
Yes, it was a lot more enjoyable than sitting on the sidelines in Central Park reading the Times, watching other people, and decided that I would start running. And one thing led to another, and then I decided to give myself a really good challenge and start running and
participate in marathons.
Participate in a marathon.
First the 13 mile, then the 26. Next you'll be doing 50.
I don't think so.
How old were you when you actually started running in marathons?
I was 43 my first marathon, so I just had maybe a year under my belt in running, so it was definitely a really big challenge for me.
Or a full marathon, because most people when they're starting out, they're way too aggressive. Who actually helped you set up your first training program?
I had a very good friend that I began my running with, and she did get me started and ran in the park with me, and we would do training and shorter runs. And then from there I actually did find a training schedule from the New York Road Runners and followed a training schedule. So each week you would build up, say, 10% from one week to the next, and just follow the schedule depending on the amount of miles.
How do you plan your time? I mean, everybody's so busy working and with family obligations to take the time out of the week to actually train for the marathon.
That's pretty much one of the biggest challenges I find with doing and planning a marathon or a half marathon. You really need to look at your training schedule and look at your calendar and really put it into your calendar. Just like you would put in, you're going to dinner with your friends or, whatever other activities you might have. So really put it into your calendar and make it a focus that if something else comes up, you're not going to change that.
So if somebody said, hey, let's go to a party and go out clubbing afterwards, you would be ready to decline and say, no, I can't. I have to run 4 miles tomorrow morning because I'm training.
Exactly.
So what are some of your top training tips that you can actually share with women that would help them run a marathon?
Training tips, just make sure, I think, when you're going to do the actual race itself, make sure that you don't do anything new the night before. That's really very important. Somebody will want to try a new outfit, a new top. Always wear your sunglasses. That's really, really very important. And
because new clothes can create chafing on the body.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and you could just be annoyed. You're just not used to that feeling. It could be, something just hitting you in the wrong place.
And what about blisters? Because it just seems that after a while it's inevitable. I mean, I know that from hiking, I can get a blister going on a 5-mile hike, and I'm not even running.
I think really having really good socks and sneakers you could avoid that. I've never really had too much issues with that. You know, I make sure my sneakers you only get so many miles out of them, so just make sure that you change your sneakers, you know, as many miles as you should. You make sure you have the right socks on. People think maybe they need a thicker sock, but that's not really, you know, accurate.
How do you keep yourself so motivated and disciplined to actually keep taking on the challenge of running in the New York City Marathon years after years?
The marathons, for me, I really have looked at it as giving back to the community. You know, I don't do things week to week or month to month as far as giving back, so this is my way of doing something for other people. I've done charity work. I've donated to charities that are really close and dear to my own heart.
What charities have you been involved with over the years that you've raised money for?
The Diabetes Association. I've done carcinoid cancer, which is a very rare form of cancer that my mother has developed, pancreatic cancer, and the Alzheimer's Association. So I've done 4 marathons and 4 different charities. Some people like to do the same charities every year, but I've had some diseases that have touched my family, and I thought it was really important to do something and to educate people really about those diseases.
Have you registered for the New York City Marathon for 2010? I think the deadline's coming up soon.
Well, every time I do one, I think that's going to be my last marathon. But I have decided for 2010 that I will be doing the Philadelphia Marathon. I've never done the Philadelphia Marathon. I've never done anything outside New York City. So the sign-up date is, I believe, like April 1st. So I'm hoping that I get in, but that's my plan for next year.
And how many miles is Philadelphia's race?
Oh, same as New York City.
You're not going to give yourself a break. For the Philadelphia race, what charity will you be actually receiving funds for this year?
It's PKS, Pallister-Killian syndrome, and the little boy that I'm running for is Jake Zane.
What are your favorite workout boosters? I'm glad there's some wonderful boosters out there to help with the endurance and the energy level for you.
But 2 of the things that I really use for all my long training runs are GU and Gatorade. You definitely have to get used to taking them. You just don't go out there and say, okay, you know, I'm going to do this. You take a little at a time, and you just get yourself, your system, your body.
Do you read Runner's World magazine?
I do. I think it's a really good motivational magazine. They have a lot of great stories about people and how they got started and what they do. They do have some training tips in there. There's a lot of good information.
And have you ever joined the Roadrunners Club?
Definitely. I've been a member of the Roadrunners Club since 2003. I think it's a great organization. It just motivates you. You go out, you do a race. There's 5,000 other people doing it. It motivates me to run faster, so that's a really good plus because you'll be out there training by yourself, and
you have nobody next to you prodding you, and this way, if you're running with somebody who's actually a better runner than you, you want to run after them. When you're not running, what other sports do you really enjoy doing?
Well, I ski, but I'm an average skier, but I do enjoy it. I love being outside. I think that's the best thing about it. I've been to most of the ski resorts out west, been to Chile.
Right, well, you live in New York City, so walking is such a way of life here, and it is excellent exercise, especially as you get older. It's great to keep the bones in shape by walking, and it's low pressure on the joints, and it's probably good for you to offset all that pounding that you're doing on a continuous basis as you're training.
Absolutely, and it's a good way to get together with friends. You know, I'll set a date with someone, I say, okay, when we're going to go for a walk, and you get to catch up.
Thank you, Jackie, so much for spending time with us this morning. I am so energized. I want to go out and I want to run a marathon. I better start with a half a marathon first. I'm Susan Hersh from Meet the Experts. Until the next time.